You guys, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're used to seeing Chris on Wednesdays, but you got me today. All right, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
I'm starting to think Chris doesn't like me. He's never been on here when I'm on here, I don't think.
He actually doesn't like you. I didn't want to say it, but he actually passed me a note at the gym today. He's like, "Tell Andy I don't like him." So
Yeah, Chris with hair is an asshole.
At least he's being upfront and honest. I mean, I appreciate that.
we just gotta shave his head again. I think that's.
Can you just like go up behind him, jackass style, and just hit him with the clippers?
Nah.
Make Tommy do it. Tommy, that's like or your new intern. Make your intern do it. It's like initiation.
I swear to God, forever, I thought he was legitimately bald.
No, he's not.
Legit. So, like, the first time I saw him with hair, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I had no idea.
I mean, let's not get carried away. Like, he doesn't have good hair. He just has hair. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't know. This shit was looking pretty good last time I saw a picture. I don't know.
pictures can be deceiving.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get rolling. So a lot of you guys know Andy. For those of you who don't, he's one I could actually say he's one of my good friends. There's a lot of internet people that say someone's their good friend, but Andy's actually my good friend. I spent a lot of time talking to him, and he's a guy that knows a lot about this industry from a lot of different angles, from business and from training, and he trains a lot of studs, and he's just a really good dude and been a good friend of mine for probably years now. So
Andy.
I always like to get him on and get him to talk to you guys. So I'm going to shut up and let you guys ask him questions, and we'll go from there, okay?
Yeah, I think last time I was on here, everybody was kind of quiet, so I just started, like, questioning people.
We could do that, too. We could just turn it over to you.
Everybody brought some questions this time.
We could do that.
I got a question.
Let's go.
I thought this was at 10 a.m., so I started making a list. But 1:30 totally works. Andy, I was thinking about this today, and I'm wondering what your take on this is. Through your time in business, what is one thing that you used to do that you no longer do? And I mean, like, for an example, I used to really worry about in sales, like if we changed the service offering or if we increased our rates, and we did everything by the book as far as like letting people know what we were doing, when it was happening, things like that. And then whenever I received any push, I was so concerned with losing that client. It might sound mean, but like I'm not really concerned with that anymore, knowing what we offer and fully believing in what we do. But using like that kind of as an example of the question, what's something that you used to be concerned about or had a fear of in your business that really is no longer kind of a concern for you or something you've kind of moved past?
Yeah. Probably a bunch of things that I could ramble about, but the one that's been the most impactful has been me letting go of the reins of like trying to actually manage the business. I'm not a very good manager. I'm just not. So I had a guy on staff who actually used to run a Parisi speed school here in town. He ran and managed Parisi, and he was also a coach. And I had him in the seat as just a coach here. And he was kind of one of my senior coaches, and I kept like realizing that I was kind of like the bottleneck keeping our business from growing and expanding. So I had a conversation with him, and he actually now has a full-time job working for Boeing as a project and process manager. So we talked about how those skills might be beneficial to us here. And because we run Traction as kind of like the overarching system that runs our business, he fit really well into an integrator role that I was trying to do and I was doing a really bad job of. So letting control of that and allowing him to kind of manage the trainers, even manage me at times, was really hard for me to do, but it's probably been the most beneficial thing that I've done so far. That's a good question too. I keep getting that question a lot, and I keep defaulting back to that answer because I think it's been the most impactful one.
Oh, for sure. That's just something that I think that it comes with experience, and knowing you have a plethora of experience, was just curious what that would be for you. So it's a good answer. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. You want me to give you another one for a bonus?
I go by 3, so you got 1 down. I'll take 2 more.
I let go of trying to do all the programming. I empowered Dale and Chris, who have kind of ownership over like our middle school and our high school program and our general fitness programs to do that. And I pushed them heavily towards strength action, a lot of Chris's programming work. And I've worked concurrently with them to kind of build out these models, but it's heavily influenced by their thoughts and what they actually see every day, because I'm not doing a lot of the coaching anymore. So by letting go of the programming and just kind of like overseeing each block and going back and forth with them about things I think need to be included or changed or improved upon was also really valuable as well. And the third thing, just because you asked, was I always tried to do all like the sales and lead follow-up. Today I still do pretty much all of our sales and marketing. I mean, Dale and Chris are both sharing that role a little bit, but I still handle the bulk of it. But one thing that I've offloaded that's been incredible is the lead follow-up, because I was doing a shitty job of following up with leads. I was so consumed with other roles. If it wasn't easy for me to get a hold of the person or set an appointment with them, I just kind of punted and said, fuck it. And that's obviously not in the best interest of the business. So, those three things are what, come to mind right away.
I've got a follow-up question if I can, if that's okay. I don't want to hoard the call too much, but going back to your second point, and this is something I think that has come up in Strength Action, which is why I want to ask it, but how do you manage without micromanaging as you hand off responsibilities that you used to do? Like with the programming, like how do you just stay involved, but kind of take the step back and maybe even let your coaches make mistakes and things like that, but not crossing the line to like hover mom city? So
I think just it's in my nature to not micromanage, because I think that's one reason why I started a business, because I didn't like people managing me. So I think it's kind of in my nature to let people figure shit out and kind of fall on their face and then debrief about what happened. But kind of the way that we add some structure to that is we have a weekly training meeting where me, Dale, and Chris meet every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and we go over the training system. We're constantly making adjustments to how we do things, and it's an opportunity for us to all be present, talking about that topic alone and handling it. Kind of a bigger picture, we're constantly capturing issues throughout the week, and we're reporting them back to our integrator. So in our weekly staff meeting, he covers all the issues that have been reported, and then Dale, Chris, and I funnel those back into our training meeting to make sure that we're solving those issues when we're in that meeting. That helpful?
Yeah. Is that all, having not read Traction, is that something that's covered in Traction, or is that something you did?
No, that's very much like Traction protocol, but like I read Traction 5 years ago. It took me, like, I think just this year we're probably doing it right. Like reading the book will give you, a big overview, but like actually getting the people in the right seats, making them very clear on their roles, and then getting everybody to operate within them and creating a culture of like collecting issues and then solving them. That's a lot harder of a task. In theory, you can just install a level 10 and IDS, issue, discuss, solve. But it didn't go very well initially for us. It's taken a lot of work. And we're still getting better. Like, we're still not perfect at it at all.
You're the man, Andy McCloy.
Nah, man. I'm just
Andy,
that's it.
To follow up on that about Traction, one of the kind of things from that was,
you're not going to say hi to me at all? Like, act like we don't know each other first?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get in. Here's the thing. All right, now that I got you, how you doing? How's your hip?
I'm good, man. I'm living. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm in a real good place.
Good.
I just wanted to jump in because I know people are eager to ask questions, but I wanted to follow up specifically to that about Casey. And you talked about like how it took a while and to implement that stuff. And I think for me, some of the challenges, not just with that, but with like a lot of these books, because I know you're reading a lot of business books and stuff, is to a certain extent like a scalability thing. Like a lot of times these are going to be in reference to big companies that have a lot more manpower, whatever it is. And not that that's a disadvantage, like it's smaller, more mobile, maybe you wear multiple hats, but how have you applied, whether it's specific to Traction or other stuff, the sort of scalability of those lessons?
I mean, I think it's like you said, like a lot of that stuff is written for really large companies, and we're not, a really large company. So there are a lot of shared roles, and like I think the best way I can answer that is I don't just sit at the top in the visionary role and wait for the integrator to report to me. I've got to be active in all those buckets and figure out solutions based around our limitations as a staff and based around our limitations regarding skill sets. So I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but I mean, I think as the owner, especially in a fitness business, I don't think you're ever going to be completely just sitting at the visionary role driving the business. I think you've got to constantly revisit each bucket, and provide solutions and context, because usually we're the ones that have been in the industry the longest. And, I think there's that expertise, that experience, I think is required to help younger staff members or people sitting in new roles to figure out how to do their job the best. And so that's the best way I can probably answer it for you.
No, I dig it. Thanks.
Yep. Jordan, you're not going to say hi either? You're just going to sit there and act like you don't fucking know me?
I was letting you talk, man. I like to hear you talk.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good, man. Just want to say hi.
I saw you at Margarita Ball. I tried to say hey, but I lost you in the crowd.
No, you didn't. You did that.
I swear. Hey, I don't want to say it, but there's a lot of people there, and I just couldn't see.
Yeah, there was like 6,000 people there or something. So.
Yeah, I hung out in the back, man. That wasn't my scene.
Cool. Kevin Dia, you're looking as handsome as ever.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Andy. My name's Eric. Saw you talking with a buddy of mine, Cisco. I guess Joe Ken's little deal. You said, I guess you mentioned you and Cisco are doing a course sometime or an event.
Yeah, I've got an event coming up April 26th through 28th. We're calling it the Sport Performance Business Mentorship. And basically we're going to talk about how we utilize all of our systems to, create a business that doesn't suck. I think there's a lot of, businesses in the sport performance world that deal with a lot of the same problems. And I think we've figured out some pretty unique solutions to those. So we're going to kind of pull the curtain back and basically talk about the essential systems that every sport performance business needs. And it's going to be an awesome experience. Like the first day, we're going to have everybody come in and we're going to go out and hang out. And I'm either going to rent out like Top Golf or a brewery or something, just kind of hang out and connect. Saturday morning, people are actually going to get to sit in on one of our staff meetings, watch us run a level 10. Then we've got adult fitness after that, middle school athletes and high school stacked on the hour. So people get to watch those sessions, which I think is important because we live in this era of like social media where everybody shows their best groups, their best sets, their best reps, and there's nothing perfect about what we do. And I just want people to see the reality of that. And I think we also do a pretty good job. So, I think we can highlight that as well. And then after that, from probably 12 to 5 or 6, myself and my staff are going to make presentations on our systems and our roles here. And I'm going to include some of the guys that are in my mentorship group, like Hunter Charneski is going to do something on the speed stratum, or what he's calling the speed stratum, how to layer speed qualities. Adam Willis, who you guys all should know, is going to be doing something on social media presence. And another one of our guys named Steven, who has a very similar but different business. Like we're very sport performance heavy, secondary fitness. He's very fitness heavy, sport performance second. But he's going to talk about how he's applied the same systems that we use to his business as well. So it's going to be a really cool event, 26th through the 28th. And I'm super fucking pumped about that because I've never done anything like that. And this is it's exciting, man. It's really exciting.
Awesome. Where's that? Where are you located?
I'm in Madison, Alabama.
Okay. Gotcha.
Not where you at?
Houston, Texas. So
that's where Cisco is.
Yeah, I travel up to the Woodlands to see Cisco here and there from time to time. Try to soak up some knowledge.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's coming in, and I'm excited. Like pretty much all the guys from our mentorship group are coming in. I've got 15 or so guys already said that they want to come in, and we're gonna lock it out at 50. The early bird cost, which I'd extend to any people in Strength Faction, is $197. And if you're a Strength Faction, I'll honor that until the last day. So, yeah.
Cool. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Andy, I'm trying. I just got to figure out some stuff with my wife, but I'm trying to figure it out and come down. So I might hit you up just for some like places to stay. So end up in place that I don't want to be or whatever. But
Okay, you can say
I'm excited.
First of all,
I don't want to stay with you, Jordan.
I would caution you against that. But there is actually there's a Hampton Inn down. There's a bunch of hotels. There's not a bad place in this area. Like, you could end up in an area that looks like the hood. It's still not the hood. This is just a great area. I would say if you're going to fly in, some options like Birmingham and Nashville might be a little bit cheaper. Both are about an hour and a half away. Huntsville's like the most expensive airport in the fucking world, it seems.
Good looks.
Todd, for my event, so if it feels too pitch heavy, Todd, you can shut all that shit down.
Fine, man.
Andy, I got a question for you, man.
Yeah. Who's that?
Rob. How's it going, man?
What's up, dude?
So I heard you mention a second ago that you had started outsourcing your leads or your lead follow-up. Are you outsourcing it to people, like another person that works with you, or is this an outside company altogether?
No,
Yeah?
a staff member.
Gotcha. How did you go about deciding, like, which staff member? Was it like certain qualities that they had that you were like, okay, this would be the person I want to talk to do this? Or was it sort of like just looking for somebody who needed a responsibility?
A little bit of both. Like, I think Chris is the guy that I'm putting in charge of that. He's a really good communicator, but he's a little reserved. So we wanted to use this as a way to get him kind of out of his shell and used to communicating in a more persuasive manner as a whole, because I think that translates to how you coach on the floor as well. Chris also has a very grown man life. And while he's got a significant amount of hours here, as we're continuing to build his book, I wanted to find another way for him to make money. So we came up with an incentive program for him that if he can get the lead in my office and I close the deal, I pay him a commission on the deal for doing all the lead follow-up. So, and he gets paid an hourly rate, for the time block of the day where he's doing this as well. But it's also just incentivizing him and trying to like indoctrinate him more into like a sales mentality, which I think is really important. That helpful?
I fucking muted myself. Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you, man.
I got the okay, though. That was good.
All right, word.
What did you say, 85% of communication is nonverbal?
Exactly.
Hi.
I see you up there. You're in my top right-hand corner.
Hi. Just wanted some pointers maybe. I have a small studio, so there's no one else running the show. Very new, so just starting with the first few clients. And I'm just starting to wonder now how to, in terms of organizing my day and, thinking about, I don't know, follow-ups from requests for consultations that come along, programming, marketing, networking. Would you say it's more productive? Because now I feel like I'm jumping, but now I need to cover all of those areas to try and get as many people in. But once things are kind of settled with a good number, would it be more productive to, I don't know, either reserve days that I only address 2 of these, for example, and block those times off my day, or just always check everything every day and small amounts of time per each?
So I think both those strategies can work. I would kind of put that back in your court and just say, like, what do you think would be
try it
the best way for you? No, I mean, what out of those 2 options, right? Whether you kind of check those boxes off each day and you set time blocks, like I do email from noon to 1, I do lead follow-up from 1 to 2, I do programming from 2 to 3, which I would assume are probably most of your open hours if you're training early mornings and late evening. Or would it be better for you to then kind of separate those duties and go like every other day?
Okay. I would say probably block it out for now. Anyway,
block it out for now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, like, and I'm not saying this is the best way to do it, but like,
if
anybody's ever tried to like get a hold of me by email, they know that like I don't do email every day. Like I just don't.
Yes.
And I would say like lead follow-up, especially right now for you, even though it's like really important to get back to people like as fast as possible, doing that every day is okay. It just doesn't have to be like as soon as the person reaches out to you, the way a lot of people would suggest that you do it. I think you're in a position that I've been in, and it's really difficult. And I think you've got to preserve your mental and physical energy. And if chasing around those tasks is exhausting you, I think time blocking it out, even if it may not be the most efficient way, it certainly has a lot of benefit for you.
Okay, yeah, I just feel that at the moment it's not as productive as, I don't know, do a whole hour of trying to reach people for building some network, and then maybe at the end of the day catch up with all the people that might have got in touch to.
Yeah. Is that true though, or is that just how you feel about it?
No, that's how I feel about it at the moment. I reached out to, because I'm trying to mainly work with pre and postpartum. So my hours would actually be probably the opposite. Lunch times, middle of the day, hopefully it's what I'll reach and will be my busiest times. And I met with this baby photographer, and just on networking, and that's how because she just moved here. So she's trying to move all of her business to a completely different area. And networking is taking her a lot because people do not get back. So we just try and get them on the phone instead of emails, because emails have not been working for me either. But that's way more time consuming to get the call straight away and find a few, 5 each day to try and reach. And then, of course, if something pops up, like someone asking if I can fit them in for a consultation, I straight away tend to reply instead of I'll get back to you whenever I finish this. So it's probably me more organizing my own time in a better way and just block time those tasks probably. Yeah.
So what you going to do?
I'm going to block them out. I would say probably for now, because I'm not that busy at the moment. Hopefully I'll get more. I'll block 40 minutes to an hour for each of these.
I would say block them out based around like what you think your schedule is going to look like when it's full.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like look at like the ideal schedule that you want,
and
then build those things around that. That way, as you do start to grow, you don't have to recreate a whole new system. It's already in place.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Andy.
I'm about to say, Wesley, come on. I know you got something. Shit.
Well, this isn't coaching related, but I'm just going to ask it anyway.
Cool.
When are you going to come see me in Philly?
I don't know, man.
No, I'm on that too.
I'm kind of a little upset with that whole city, man. Like, I feel like they do my guy dirty. So I want to boycott the whole fucking city. Like,
is he gone?
No. I just feel like they don't treat him right. You know? So throw him a fucking ball more. No, I love Philly. I mean, I really do. I got to find some time to get out there. He's been so busy that it's been hard. But, like, I owe you a visit, Kevin a visit. Devin's up there. Jim Ferris is up there. So, like, that's a spot that I need to hit for a couple days and just connect with everybody.
Andy, I'm just saying, we love your dudes up in New England. So come up to Boston anytime you want, man. We take good care of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are trying to do that. Me and Chris, one of my coaches, we're thinking about doing that CSP baseball thing he's got going on in June or July.
Oh, yeah. All right, man.
So
we'll just keep developing more players for the Patriots, and we'll keep winning Super Bowls for you guys, all right?
I'll try, man. I'll do
all right, man. Keep it up.
You can bet that.
I appreciate it.
You can bet that. A lot of people just staring at the camera.
So what do you have going on now, like lead generation for like the adult personal training or semi-private? I don't know what you guys do. What's working right now, and like what have you used here in like the last 6 months or to a year that's not working?
So one, like internal marketing, organic seems to work best. Like having a standardized, like bring a friend week. We've got a referral program that we give to our members to help them save money for referring people. They can ultimately get free training for a month after they've sent 3 of them. We've always got some type of paid evergreen offer going for like a short-term trial, like a 30-day trial or 21-day jumpstart or something along those lines. The new webpage that we just finished, you either opt in to set an appointment with me to learn how we can help you, or your secondary offer is actually like a 5-day habit email course. And at the end of the email course, there's an offer to come train with us for a week free. I got named a Lululemon ambassador, which is kind of weird. I never thought I'd wear something called Lulu, but I fucking love their clothes. I got to admit it. We do joint events with them. That's all been really beneficial. And then something that I've been in and out on over and over has been like the transformation contest model. Like, I just feel like it's just done so bad that I don't even want to be compared to like, hey, we're going to give you a free transformation. And then when you show up, it's like, yeah, but it's $500 to bet on yourself. And, I'm sure you guys know the guy that's running that model. And I'm not saying some people aren't having success with it. It just feels very out of integrity for me and like a bait and switch model. So we've been kind of just going with a transformation program. We tell people what it is up front, but it's been a great lead generator for us. Good front end revenue and back end revenue. We'll run about 3 or 4 of them a year. And we're not trying to get 30 to 40 people in our classes. That's just not what we do. I think the one we did at the first of the year, we got 12 people in out of about 60 leads. So I'll take that all day, and we'll keep marketing to those people on the back end.
Gotcha. Okay. Appreciate it.
You doing all that?
Not all that, no.
Yeah.
So
what are you going to do once you leave out of here?
So right now I've just been doing like a 6-week trial kind of thing. So it was $149. I'm bumping that up to $199 for a 6-week trial, but I'm one-man band in a small studio, so trying to roll in like 20 people in that kind of model like just is way overwhelming.
What do they get for 6 weeks?
Huh?
What do they get for 6 weeks?
It's 3 semi-private personal training sessions per week.
Raise your price.
Along with, pardon me?
Raise your price.
To what?
I don't know, $249, $279, $5,000, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Like from $249 to $5,000, something. No, seriously,
okay.
I mean, that's a fucking steal. I don't know where you are, but like, where are you?
Central Kansas.
Central Kansas. It's probably a lot like Alabama. Like, people are a little conservative with how they spend money, but for like 3 times a week, semi-private, $199 for 6 weeks, that's a steal. Like that's
yeah. Well, and that's why I bumped it, because I'm like, this is way too fucking cheap. And it's also one of those things where, like, keeping people on the back end of it, they'd look at the price and be like, oh, I got to pay that, every month. And it's like, yeah, if you commit to a year.
That's really
if you just want to come for like 4 months, it's way more expensive than that.
Yep. Yeah,
so,
I'd say raise your price, man. I mean, you'll probably get better qualified leads, or at least you'll have better qualified people that will be able to take an offer at the end of their trial.
Yeah. I was thinking about it earlier this week, that we're kind of hitting like the end of like the New Year's resolution, like where things start to really lull for people. And they're either like dropping out or they're actually growing a pair and, getting back into it. Yep. So I thought about running a transformation kind of contest where I'm only trying to take like 5 people in.
Yep.
Something like that, but bump the price on it up and be like, all right, who really wants this?
Yeah, higher ticket and just over deliver, right? Like, just provide massive value, high ticket, 5 to 10 people. You say I'm only taking 10 people, 5 are already taken. Add a little scarcity to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. I'll see how it
I'll only
goes.
take 5% for that suggestion.
Sound fair enough. If I
5%
bring
of
in-
all increased revenue. I'll take it.
oh, okay. I need to negotiate that down a little bit.
We can do that later.
Yeah. I'll run it. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, seriously. For real. Like, if you're going to run it, definitely let me know how it goes.
I will. I need to do something. My lead generation has been lacking. Like I get some referrals here and there from clients, but it's not. It's few and far between.
So on that note, like how many of you, by show of hands, think that you actually need more leads?
Oh, I know I need more leads. Yeah.
Okay. Like the answer is we always need more leads, but like how many of you are actually getting leads, but you still think you need more leads? Okay, you probably don't need more leads. You probably need better follow-up and sales. That's what I realized. Like, so just speaking from my experience, like I thought I needed more leads. I need more leads. And I would sit down with my ad guy and I realized we had plenty of leads. And I could blame it on like shitty quality leads that come from social media. But like after looking in the mirror, I realized it was a lot of what I spoke about before and why I gave up some of the follow-up process, because I was doing a really shitty job at it because I was having to wear multiple hats and serve in multiple roles. You know, so everybody thinks it's leads. But if you don't have a good follow-up and sales process, it doesn't matter how many leads you get.
And you mentioned high ticket during that transformation contest deal. What do you mean by that?
I don't remember what I said. You'll have to give me some more context about what I said.
I guess it was maybe.
It was when you told me I needed to raise my prices.
Oh, I'm
and
just
go
saying
somewhere
like a higher
between.
ticket offering, meaning just like a higher priced program. You know, so like there's kind of two ways to do the like front end offers, like the really cheap front end offer that's kind of a no brainer, and you get usually more volume of people in, but they're usually less qualified to actually afford your services on the back end, which is the whole point of having a front end offer to begin with. So by raising your price on the front end, you usually get somebody that's more qualified to take your programs or be able to afford your programs on the back end.
Gotcha.
That make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, Mike typed in a question because his mic's not working, so I'll read it. I'm going to read it verbatim. So, Mike isn't working for whatever reason, dash. What's going on, dude? Question mark. I'm in search of a space to move into and am curious what mistakes you've made when moving into your spaces. Thanks! Exclamation point.
He said spaces is. First of all, who's Mike? Okay, guy with the epic mustache. I like that. So I'll say this. I think I've been pretty smart when it goes into moving into places because one, kind of when I transitioned out of the big box gym environment, I moved into a high school and I had an overhead free environment for years, which allowed me to stack cash and then eventually open up a place debt free with all the essentials, right? Nothing fancy, but all the essentials. And when I moved in here, I wanted a bigger place. I wanted a nicer looking place. But I just think people overvalue that. When we first moved into this joint, it didn't look like it looks today. And we just kind of slowly added things to it. It didn't even have AC and heat when I moved in. I had an agreement with the owner that he would put it in after the first year. I mean, there were days when we were in here, and this place is all concrete walls. Like, it doesn't hold out the weather very well. I mean, there was days we're in here 10 degrees. You know, we got adults and athletes in here wearing 3 pairs of sweatpants and hoodies. And there's days in the summer in Alabama, it's 100 degrees and fucking 100% humidity. We just made it work. You know, so I think a lot of people think they need to start big. They think they need to start with like everything perfect. Like it's got to have the perfect bathrooms and it's got to look pretty. And I just think it's a huge mistake, you know? So I think I also say this, not understanding that everything is negotiable. So like when I came into this place, the guy wanted me to pay a lot more than what we ended up agreeing upon. And I had a little bit of leverage there because the guy that owns this complex, I had trained his daughter, and it was a small part of her getting a scholarship to play softball at Auburn. But and I didn't use that in the negotiation process at all, but I knew that, you know, there was some behind the scenes leverage there, and just negotiated a deal that I felt was best for me and asked him if he'd agreed to it. And he did. And every year since that we've been in here, I've paid a little bit more. And yeah. Is that helpful? You about to open a place or what? Oh yeah, he's typing. Shit, I forgot he can't talk.
Gotta type.
Move into a bigger space from CrossFit. Do you need a bigger space? Yeah. I think the old MA weight room is like 1,100 square foot. So like I've been there. I get it.
Mike, do you want us to give Andy a little more context on your space? Okay. All right, Andy. So I've been in Mike's space, and he is sort of in a room. You have to walk through the CrossFit gym to get to his space. It's the door. It's an open door, and so like he doesn't have any control of like the music, the heat, and also it's really hard to find him. I was like, where the fuck are you, dude? So I think that's a major part of, is that helpful, Mike? Anything I should add? It's good.
That's good context. I mean, that's obviously a non-optimal situation, but like I could name probably 10 dudes that have really good facilities that started out just like that. So don't ever let that bother you. Just keep, you know, as Todd would say, chopping wood, and you know, eventually everything will work out, man. So I was just about to ask you to speak, Patrick. I saw you unmute there because if he's got the best mustache, you've got the best beard. So
yeah, we can twirl this out too. So
yeah, that's fucking impressive right there.
Just no wax in it today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna piggyback off of Mustache Mike's question, and so something similar. I'll give you a little context. So I've been an independent contractor for about 3 years. You know, started with 3 or 4 people coming from a group training studio, and you know, a year later, I'm hitting 700%, you know, increase in business, and here I am 3 years later with, you know, 40-something clients that come on a regular basis, continually trying to grow in a gym that I love, with a fellow trainer who's awesome, taught me a lot. We mesh well. We've kind of meshed both of our client groups. And turned it into a pretty cool community. At the end of the day, I want to do my own thing, and he knows that. He's also approached me a couple times and offered to kind of buy me out. You know, for me, it's more of a control thing. It drives me crazy that I can't put my name on, you know, the office door for the contractors because I'm pretty much the only one there full time. So, you know, I understand it's his business. He gets to do what he wants to, and I'm okay with that. But for me, I want to figure out how to transition, you know, into my own thing. You know, I know timing's kind of up to the person and the individual, but what's some advice you can give to somebody that's kind of in that unique situation where I may not really want to step away, and I'm not going to anytime soon, probably, and I don't want to break up that community, but you know, I know that I want to go on and do my own thing. So
I would say start planning. Like, what does that look like? And so, like, for example, I want to have a bigger space within the next year or two. And I don't know if you guys know about Profit First, but that's the method of accounting that we use. And there's a percentage of all of our revenue each month that goes into a bank account that I can't touch at all. It's not a part of our normal operating expenses. And it's really hard for me to get to. And that money goes in there simply for that move. So I think a lot of times what keeps people in, and I'm not trying to insinuate your situation is bad, but what keeps people in situations that are non-optimal or bad or something along those lines is they don't really have the financial means to just pick up and move. So I think if you start projecting that out now, get an understanding of what your costs are going to be and start contributing a percentage of your revenue monthly towards that. It doesn't even matter if it's 1%. You know what I mean? Like you start contributing revenue to that, that would be really valuable. And then I would also be behind the scenes, like working on like, for example, when I was a strength coach in a high school for 11 years, and I concurrently ran my business out of that high school. And what I was doing is basically testing the model of how I was going to run my business here. You know, and I had the great fortune of this private school allowing me to train athletes from all over. I ran my first NFL combine preparation program out of there. Like I talked agents into sending me prospective NFL athletes to train at a high school, and we put them up in a terrible hotel. By the way, PJ, I won't put you in that hotel. And but I was able to like kind of test drive my business model, get good at selling what we were doing with non-optimal stuff. And that was really beneficial to me. So when we moved in here, it wasn't like we had to figure that stuff out. We had to figure a lot out, but we at least had some big pieces in place, and the money was already set aside for the turf and everything else that we put in.
Right on. I mean, so it's like, I've been capped out on rent for, 2 years. So, I look at that number at the end of the day, and it's fine. I don't want to get comfortable or anything, but I kind of have gotten a little comfortable. And, so those little reminders always tell me like, hey, you need to step out, you need to get going here. And, you're not in control of your business. You've got somebody else that's kind of controlling things for you. So I really appreciate that. That's good advice.
No problem. I think a lot of people, like there's very few people that can do what like Todd and Chris do, and like Pete and Eric and other people that we know that are really successful. I think all of us kind of like to hang out with our buddies or with a good trainer, and like in theory it makes sense to go in with them. I don't know many people that do it well long term, So I'm big on like doing it on your own unless you have a very unique relationship like the guys I just mentioned. What else we got?
Hey, Andy, it's K-Cal over here. Kristen, how you doing?
I see you.
Since you just said that long term, it made me think about like kind of what you see happening with this industry over the long term, because it seems like things are changing a lot. And I mean, at least from my perspective, it seems like this sort of pull between like quality training and then like the sales part, if you know what I mean. Like I would say that's more like most commercial gym styles, or I don't know if I'm making any sense, but like, the real quality training and then like the crap.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just something I know I've been thinking a lot about, of like sort of where you see it. What do you see? Where do you see it heading?
I think a lot of people are becoming deterred by, and I'll name them, like by the franchises like Orange Theory, and that provide, they're doing something, right? I mean, I'm not saying they're total shit, but I think we would all agree that it's probably not optimal. And these guys, like, I forgot the exact number, but like if you buy an Orange Theory, like you've got to dump like $30,000 into marketing your first couple months, right? So that puts people like us on our heels immediately, right? Like we're having to compete against brands and people that really aren't invested in moving the fitness industry forward. They look at buying a franchise as a means for them to make money, and they know fitness is a space that's really popular right now to do that, right? So I think what we're going to see is a lot more gyms go out of business. We're going to see a lot more people quit. And it's because it takes serious like resolve and resiliency to like continue to fight against that. And it's difficult, so I definitely think we're going to see more of that. I mean, I'm being surrounded by places like that. Orange Theory, there's a thing called Iron Tribe here that's kind of like a CrossFit spinoff. We've got a Fit Body Boot Camp down the street. But I'm committed. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, and I don't care how hard it gets or how bad it gets. Like, I'm all in. Like, my plan B is to make my plan A work. And I just think more people, they think this thing's easier than what it is, right? They think they go into this thing altruistically. I want to help people and I love people. And well, that's great, but you've got to develop the skill sets to do that long term. And even once you start, I'm going to tell you right now, the thing that's been hardest for me is like how to lead and guide a team, how to find the right people, get them in the right seat, keep them on board, and continue to grow and scale. Like, that's the hardest shit ever. But look at those other businesses that we talked about. They bring in people, they pay them $10 an hour, they burn and churn. You know, I think the other thing that we're going to see is burnout. There's this constant pressure on all of us to be like visible on social media. We need a podcast, a fucking blog, an Instagram, a Facebook. You know, we got to do all this, and then we still got to coach. And many people like who've kind of shared their position today are wearing multiple hats while they're trying to do all that. And there just eventually becomes a breaking point. Like, and I'm telling you, I was hitting it. Like, if I didn't get my hips done this past year, you guys might not be talking to me today because I was so beat up by my responsibilities and my physical health. You know, so I think you've always got to keep your thumb on that. Like, how mentally and physically healthy are you? And are you doing everything in your power to run and drive your business? And if you are not 100, like right now, if you were to ask yourself, am I really all in on building a business? If there's any question in your brain, you're going to have trouble. I'm just letting you know it's coming. I think you've got to figure that out. You got to figure out how committed you are to this thing. And there's nothing wrong with deciding to go into another segment of the industry, like, or not opening a gym. Like, you don't have to do that to be happy. Like, you just don't. But if you want to run and own a gym, you got to be ready to fight burnout, to fight the big fitness facilities, and you just got to dig your heels in and be ready to fight. And you got to take care of yourself while you're doing it. Anybody?
I'll ask about y'all's kids youth program that you guys run. Like, what kind of pricing and structure do you have, like, for the kids?
Give me an age. I think he froze.
Yeah, he froze.
Give me an age, Trey.
10 to 12.
All right, so that's kind of in between our development and fundamentals program and our acceleration program. Price points are exact same for all of our age groups. It really wouldn't have mattered what you would have answered. I was just kind of leading you towards that. It's just as difficult to train a 10 and 12-year-old to me, or a 8 to 11-year-old, as it is to train a high school athlete. I mean, I can give you exact price points if that's what you're looking for, but you know, it's standard across the board for us.
Do you think there's a different value proposition that you have to make, though? Because between a 10-year-old and a 16-year-old?
Give me some more context. What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is, I guess what I'm saying, do you think it's a harder sell to get parents to spend the same amount of money on a 10-year-old for training as they would for a 16-year-old?
In my experience, no. Because a lot of the people that are attracted to us that are in like that 8 to 12-year-old range, these are people that are already like spending money on skill coaches, and they're kind of like, they're already doing the year-round training model and investing money in AAU and hitting coaches. And so like they're used to spending money. And what we frame that conversation as, if that's what you're going to choose to do, like we educate them on long-term athletic development, specificity, and why that's not ideal. But I'm not about telling parents what to do with their children, right? So if that's what they want to do, okay, cool. But you need us because we will be your second sport. And the things that, you know, we might have got when we were growing up in physical education, like in elementary school, like your kid's not getting that anymore. They get to walk around the track and do some shit, but they're not getting real physical education. So we frame that conversation in that way, is that this is what like required for your child to maximize their fitness and athletic potential long term. And to me, the value of that is priceless, right? Because you know as well as I do, they could find somebody cheaper. You can bet that. But what's the cost of that? And in our sales process, which we call an intake interview, like we strategically point that out to them. Like you can find other people to do it cheaper, but these are the costs of that. Like the guy immediately throws out a speed ladder and has your kid wear a fucking altitude mask, like fucking run, you know, and then, yeah.
Fair enough, man.
Now I do think like we've toyed with the idea of doing like a 5 to 8 year old to like really kind of like truly have a program that goes through every level of long-term athletic development. In that case, I do think it's a hard sell. And we would have to do something cheaper and make it more volume based, because it would be all active play. You know what I mean? That's what it would be.
Right.
I gotta say though, I wonder, Andy, if you've got people coming to you for 5 to 8 year olds, if it really would be a harder sell, because again, they're looking to get their kid involved at 5 to 8 years old with something outside of just the normal playground work. And so that's your in right there. I mean, they're actively seeking you out as opposed to the other way around. And at least, I don't know, where I am in Boston, we don't have a whole lot of people looking for that. So if you have somebody looking for you to specifically do that and get your kid working and everything, I think you can charge whatever you want, man.
I mean, that's a good point. And I see both sides of it, right? Because my youngest daughter, she was in dance last year, and we paid a very similar price point to what a kid would to train here. You know, so I think there's some evidence out there that if you're really interested in that and you're searching that service and product out, that you could certainly show comparable value, because there's other services out there that are charging similar price points.
Exactly.
Matt, are you Steven's brother?
Unfortunately so, yeah.
So you don't like claiming him all the time?
No, not particularly.
He's a fucking boss, though. I don't care what. I know you're his brother and shit, and you probably don't see it all the time. He probably gets on your nerves. Steven's a fucking boss.
Yeah. No, he's doing good stuff right now.
Yeah.
Excited see where it's all going.
You working for Brent now?
What's that?
I heard you were working for Brent now?
Yeah, so I'm kind of splitting time between Steven's gym and then the gym up here in Menasha. So I'll be there this afternoon running classes and stuff.
Two good dudes, man. Two good dudes.
No, they're awesome. I'm excited. Andy, do you have any suggestions as far as like new coaches and getting like clients and that kind of stuff?
To like fill your book?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to learn prospecting and sales. And like my integrator pointed out to me that like I've made it too easy on our coaches, because I've driven like all the leads in the door, and all the clients you were getting were kind of based off my legwork for years. Okay. And I started reflecting on that. Like when I first started, nobody taught me any of that, but like I had to get clients to pay my bills and feed my kid, right? So I had this massive leverage that told me I had to go out and create income. And I don't see that from a lot of young trainers. They kind of want to sit back and find an easy job. And it's like, well, I'm a coach. I don't want to sell, and I don't want to prospect. And from my perspective, I just don't think you have the luxury of entering the industry like that. Like I remember I started out at a Gold's Gym here in like 2001, and I would sit outside on the bike rack just to watch the cars that people rolled up in, and to look at the purses and diamond rings. And in my previous life, I might have been wanting to do something else if I spotted those things. But it became a great prospecting opportunity for me, because then later on in the gym, I would make sure I ran into them and would have a conversation with them and invite them in to talk about how I could help them. And luckily I had some good mentors that kind of put me on to like sales books and information really early on, like old Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar stuff. And that was really beneficial, and it definitely helped me separate myself from other coaches and trainers and fill my book. So I think as trainers and coaches, we've got to take more ownership over prospecting and sales. And I would say that 90% of the time that you're spending on social media, if you spent that on prospecting and learning about sales, you'd make more money and have a better book. Fuck the 10 best exercises for your glutes video that you've been working on for 4 hours. Like, it's not helping you. You know, it's not. Go meet people. Go find chiropractors. If you're working in sport performance, go ask to sit down with middle school coaches and high school coaches, and not to sell them, to like learn from them. Like, what problem can you solve for them? Like, a quote that I heard recently is that people don't buy their way into things. They buy their way out of problems, right? So just by going out in your market and learning, like, what problems can I solve? There's a shit ton of value with that. And then again, it's like, it's reps. It's reps. I was talking about one of my coaches about his presentation for the event we're having, and he was like, do we want to even go into like doing shoulder IR and ER for middle school kids? Because I'm not so sure we're getting as much quality information from that assessment. That's, well, why did we start doing that? And he said, so I can get more reps doing it. That's the value. Like, maybe we're not getting all, you know, the best information to decide whether or not he can go overhead or not from an 11-year-old, right? But still reps. And I think you need a lot of reps communicating, selling, and prospecting.
Right on. Thank you.
Is there time?
Yeah.
I was about to ask something very similar. So how, besides the networking and contacting other health professionals that might help you with putting your word out, and how you can help them as well with the clients that they follow up, what, in terms of running promotions, what's, in your opinion, I don't know, following Casey Lee is gone, isn't he, the 3 best promotions you think that truly bring people in? You know?
Well, I mean, if I was you, I would be it seems like you're trying to speak to a very specific audience. So like, I would partner on some type of like clinics or seminars with a doctor or an OBGYN or somebody kind of in that world, right? Maybe a psychologist who has, experience dealing with kind of the mental struggles that people deal with postpartum, right? So I think that would be, a really good strategy for you. And I think, again, just kind of like I was talking to Matt, like, I think just getting out and meeting more doctors, from general practitioners to OBGYNs, and just making them aware of who you are and what you do. Like, I mean, I don't want it to sound arrogant, but like, there's very few people in my town that don't know me. And now I've been doing this 18 years, right? So like, that works in my benefit. But a lot of it, when I first started, man, it was beating the street. Anytime somebody said, hey, I know so-and-so, you might want to meet him, I was like, oh yeah, you got their number? And I would call them, hey, can I come sit down and talk with you? This was not the age of like meeting people at coffee shops and shit either. Like, wasn't no fucking coffee shops to hang out at and have a cool meeting, or Whole Foods, or like wherever I see people meeting at now. Like, I usually had to go to their business, their turf, and sit down and just talk to them and learn from them. I think that's the move.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, Andy, you mentioned Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar. What specific books do you remember the titles?
No. I mean, like the Psychology of Sales by Brian Tracy was a really good one. The Sales Bible by Jeremy, Godeffer, is good. I think I spelled that last name right. Tom Hopkins has one that's like, it was like Sell Like a Lion, or Don't Be some shit about lions and lambs, maybe. Zig Ziglar's got a million. I can't remember like kind of his classic ones, but like, yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep.
Any final things anybody wants to sneak in before we let Andy loose?
I guess the best way to, if you're going to contact these doctors, chiropractors and stuff, you sit down and you say, hey, what kind of problems can I solve for you, and the fitness wise with your patients, or how do you go about that?
Who am I talking to? I'm sorry. I was trying to find who was calling.
Eric again.
Where are you, Eric? I can't find you. Are you off the screen? Yeah, you were off the screen. All right, I found you. So ask that one more time for me.
The best way to when you meet with chiropractors or doctors and you sit down with them, do you just say, hey, what kind of problems can I help you solve, like on patient wise with, maybe aftercare and post-op or once they're released from physical therapy, or how do you go about that?
Yeah, so like if I was going to a chiro or a PT, the way that I would like frame the conversation is I'm just looking to meet people in my industry who have similar interests, because I'm not going to refer people to every chiropractor and every PT, right? So like the first thing is like I just want to learn from them about what they do with their business. And then it's to see like how I can learn about what they do and if there's any way I can help them. That's the way I frame it up front, right? So I think how you have that we could get more strategic and tactical on like how to open that conversation. But I think it just has to be framed as you want to learn from them and you want to help them, right? And those are the two things.
Okay, thanks.
And then based on that information that you get back from them, you can decide if it's somebody you want in your network and then create more of a strategic way of, kind of building more rapport with them over time.
Gotcha.
Anybody else?
Cool. Let's call it, man.
Sweet.
Andy, thanks, dude. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Always
Thanks,
enjoy this.
Andy.
Appreciate all you guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
And it was awesome. See you guys some other
Thanks,
time.
Andy.
Thanks, buddy. Good seeing you.
Later.